If you decide to play as All Might from My Hero Academia, aka Boku No Hero Academia, as a playable character in Dungeons & Dragons, you have the potential to get close to 300 damage in a single round. And that's not even including a critical strike. With one critical hit, you have the potential to get over 420 damage. And if somebody casts Hold Person or Hold Monster, allowing you to get non-stop crits, you're looking at over 550 damage in a single round. So let's dive into how to build All Might from My Hero Academia in Dungeons & Dragons. Now, I did already build this character once, but with the updates that happened in D&D and my general love for My Hero Academia, I felt it was necessary to rebuild him. I'll try to lean into as much of the new stuff as possible, but we are going to go super minimalistic with the spells, focusing on the most important spells that feel true to character. But if you want the full spell list, I'll include it on Patreon with the full character sheet. Diving in and starting with the species, we're going to go with Human. The updated Human from 2024 gives you the feature Resourceful. So you get a Heroic Inspiration once per short or long rest. And in 2024, Heroic Inspiration makes it so you can reroll any D20. But if you already have a Heroic Inspiration and you gain another one, you can immediately give it to somebody else. So you're already inspiring your allies, just like All Might, the #1 hero and symbol of peace, would do. Now, I do feel like he's constantly putting on a show and making sure he becomes that symbol of peace. So with the feature Skillful, allowing us to choose one skill proficiency, we're going to grab Performance. Then to last a little longer in fights, at least before you get severely injured and have to force yourself to get down to Small Might instead of All Might, we want to make sure we last most of the time. So we're going to take the feat Tough, giving us an extra 2 hit points of health per level of this overall build. Then when it comes to a background, I do want to be sticking with the newer stuff whenever possible. So they don't have Folk Hero, but that's okay, because like I said, he's putting on quite the show to make sure he is a symbol. So we're going to take the background, Entertainer. This gives us a skill proficiency in Acrobatics, but we get to choose one more skill because we already chose Performance from being a human. So we're going to grab Perception because it's generally useful. Then there's a feat that comes with this background, and it's Musician. Now, Musician doesn't necessarily fit as far as playing a musical instrument, but it does fit as far as what it does at its core. Because if you're playing an instrument, which we can ignore the instrument portion of this and just focus on inspiring your allies in more ways, you get the feature Encouraging Song. So playing something that you're proficient with, when you finish a short or long rest, you can hand out a bunch of heroic inspirations to a number of people equal to your proficiency bonus, just allowing you to find more ways to inspire other heroes, which is kind of the whole reason that the main character, Deku, becomes a hero in the first place. Then when it comes to the ability scores, we're going to have a point spread that looks like this, and it feels a little weird because All Might is obviously very strong, but we only need a little bit of strength to deal with a multi-class, because we're going to be starting with Paladin, but we're going to be doing a bit of a weird multi-class with it. We want to start with Paladin because it gives us plenty of weapons and armor proficiency, and in All Might's early career, he does have some interesting super suits, so we can play that off as various forms of armor. We get proficiency in 2 skills, so we'll grab Intimidation and Athletics, and by starting off with a Paladin, we get a little more health than if we were to go with what we're going to multi-class into. First level of Paladin gives us Lay on Hands, so you can lay your hands on somebody and heal them for a decent amount of HP. You get a Weapon Mastery, which we don't care about because you're going to mostly be doing punching, and you get some spell casting. Now, all of the spells that we're going to grab for All Might are all going to be first level, at least when it comes to our Paladin stuff. We want to make sure we challenge a villain and keep their attention on you instead of any innocent civilians around. So we'll grab Compelled to Duel. You want Heroism to last a little longer in battle, constantly regenerating some health, and Shield of Faith to boost up your armor class by +2, and you're able to concentrate on that. But to boost up the damage and to do some Detroit smashes or anything of that nature, we have plenty of Smites. Now, the Smites are going to be pretty crucial to this build because early on, we are only doing punching, and punches only do 1 point of damage by default unless we get some other way to boost it up. So we'll go ahead and take Divine Smite, allowing us to boost it up by 2d8, unless you're fighting a fiend or undead, which would allow you to add another 1d8. But you can also upcast this to add another 1d8 per level of spell slot used. We'll also grab Thunderous Smite to just smack down pretty darn hard, dealing 2d6 thunder damage and dealing another 1d6 for every level of upcast. But this also knocks the creature 10 feet further away from you and knocks them prone. And then we'll finish it all off with Wrathful Smite, only dealing 1d6 at its base level, but still being able to be upcast. However, it can inflict the Frightened condition. Now with one level of Paladin, we're immediately going to jump into a multiclass because the multiclass is very, very important for this build. And we're going to jump over to Bard because I like the idea that All Might is really putting on a performance to really make an icon of himself, becoming the symbol of peace. This allows us to choose one more skill proficiency, and we're going to grab Persuasion. You get Bardic Inspiration, so you have a pool of d6s equal to your Charisma modifier, and you can use them to boost up your allies, allowing them to add that d6 to any d20 roll. That d6 upgrades to a d8 at level 5, a d10 at level 10, and then a d12 at level 15. Those Bardic Inspiration die are going to be very important very soon though. Also at first level of being a bard, you get some more spell casting. And we're going to grab a handful of first level spells that are very important for All Might, but then we're not grabbing anything for quite a while. So we'll grab Blade Ward for a bit more defense, Fairy Fire to give yourself and your allies advantage by highlighting a bunch of enemies, and Thunder Wave to do a big old smash and push people further away while also being able to hit multiple people simultaneously. Then at second level of Bard, you get Expertise in 2 skills, allowing you to double your proficiency bonus with them. So we'll double our proficiency bonus with Performance and Persuasion. You also get the feature Jack of all trades, so any skill you don't have proficiency with automatically gets half of your proficiency bonus added to it. Then at third level of Bard, you would get access to second level Bard spells, but we're not focusing on those spells right now. But I should note, the fact that we are multiclassing into a pure caster allows us to boost up the level of spell slot we have access to much, much faster. So those smites that you're doing are allowing you to keep up with the amount of damage you need to dish out to keep up with the rest of your party. Because even though you're only doing one punch and that one punch is only dealing 1 damage, you can boost it up with a smite, really boosting up your damage potential. But at third level of Bard, you get to choose a Bard subclass. And I've been so excited about this subclass, but haven't found a good way to use it for one of my builds yet. And it's the College of Dance. And if you ignore the dancing aspect of it, the features themselves fit super, super well for a hero like All Might. First, you get dazzling footwork. So you're a dance virtuoso, allowing you to have advantage on performance checks when it comes to dancing. That part doesn't matter as much. But you also get unarmored defense. So your armor class is now 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your charisma modifier. So now we don't have to rely on any sort of armor from our paladin stuff. You also get a very important feature called Agile Strikes. So anytime you use a bardic inspiration, as part of using that inspiration as an action, bonus action, or reaction, you can now make an unarmed strike at the same time. So now you can still do 2 attacks in a single turn. And those attacks can do a little more damage because you get bardic damage. So now the size of your bardic die is the same as your unarmed strikes, and your unarmed strikes are now using your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier. So now our main stat is dexterity. We can focus on that for our armor class and our damage for punches, while at the same time boosting up the damage of those punches with smites. And to make sure we hit that dexterity as quick as possible, let's go ahead and take one more level in Bard real quick, allowing us to get an ability score improvement, and that makes it so now we can boost up our dexterity by 2 points. Then we're going to jump back over to Paladin, because we need a few more levels there. Second level of Paladin gives us a fighting style, and our Bardic Inspiration die is only a D6 right now. It will jump up pretty darn quick with one more level in Bard, but just so we don't ignore that damage die, we'll go ahead and take Unarmed Fighting for our fighting style, boosting up our damage to a D8 as long as we don't have anything else in our hands. Also at second level, you get Paladin Smite, so you get the Divine Smite spell added to your spell list by default, and you have 1 casting of it for free. Then at third level of Paladin, you get Channel Divinity, which you can use for something like Divine Sense to really sense the general presence of All for One, but you're a user of One for All. And you're very obviously the symbol of peace that comes with an amount of glory, because you're the #1 hero. So we get to choose a Paladin subclass at level 3, and we're going to choose Oath of Glory. This allows us to have a handful of spells added to our spell list by default, but we don't care about any of that. We have everything we need, but it also gives us Inspiring Smite. And we inspire so many other heroes, this felt so fitting. Because now when you use a smite, you can also activate your Channel Divinity and give a bunch of temp HP equal to 2d8 plus your Paladin level to creatures within 30 feet of you, divvying up that health however you'd like. You also get the feature Peerless Athlete, so you can use your bonus action to have advantage on athletics or acrobatics checks, while at the same time boosting your jump distance by 10 feet, although I don't see that as being as useful as Inspiring Smite. Then at 4th level of Paladin, we get another ability score improvement, so let's go ahead and max out that dexterity as quickly as possible. And then at 5th level of Paladin, you get Faithful Steed in case you wanted some sort of mount, because it adds the Find Steed spell to your spell list and gives you some free castings of it, but we don't care that much about that spell either. What we care most about is the fact that 5th level Paladin also gives us extra attack. So now you can attack twice as your action, and anytime you use a Bardic Inspiration as a bonus action or reaction, you can add that to your extra attacks as well. But now that we have 5 levels in Paladin, we're going to jump back over to Bard. 5th level Bard gives us Font of Inspiration, so you regain your Bardic Inspiration die on a short rest instead of just waiting for a long rest. And you can regain your Bardic Inspiration die just by spending a spell slot, even without using any sort of action. And this is very helpful because now we have more access to more attacks more easily. And with the limited spells we added to our spell list, that's going to be our main focus. And it gets even more powerful because, thanks to being a dance bard, we get Inspiring Movement. Just another way to inspire people. So if an enemy that you can see ends its turn within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to spend a Bardic Inspiration die, allowing you to move up to half of your speed, and somebody you can see within 30 feet of you to also move half their movement speed, neither of which is going to provoke an opportunity attack. And this is great for saving people that you're trying to protect. But this also makes it so it has another way for you to spend a Bardic Inspiration, which does allow you to get another attack in. So pretty much no matter what, you can always get an attack as a reaction because you are a melee fighter. Going up close and doing lots of punches is kind of your thing. So if a creature tries to get away from you, they provoke an opportunity attack. If they don't try and get away from you, that means they're within 5 feet of you and activating this feature. So either way, you're getting an attack as your reaction. Also at 6th level of being a bard, you get Tandem Footwork. So you can expend a Bardic Inspiration die when you roll initiative, allowing you to add your Bardic Inspiration to everybody's initiative to help everybody get a better start to a battle. 7th level gives us Counter Charm, allowing you to fight off being frightened or charmed, but being frightened is probably the main thing you're going to fight off because you're kind of a courageous character. 8th level gives us another ability score improvement, so let's go ahead and boost up our charisma because that's our other main stat. 9th level gives us expertise and 2 more skills, so we'll boost up our athletics and our intimidation. And 10th level gives us magical secrets. So now you have access to the Bard spell list, Druid spell list, Wizard spell list, and Cleric spell list. And this is going to allow us to really open up a lot of possibility because we've been getting higher and higher levels of spell casting, but we haven't been adding any spells because I've been waiting for this one. And the spell I wanted to add most was Insanely Broken. It was so absolutely busted that Wizards of the Coast realized they screwed up and had to go back and fix it. So that way they released a statement and said, hey, we nerfed this spell, it was kind of necessary. Because I'm going to grab Conjure Minor Elementals. We can only get this thanks to magical secrets, but it boosts up our damage to an insane degree. It creates a 15-foot emanation around you, in which everything is difficult terrain, and until the spell ends, you deal an extra 2d8 damage of acid, cold, fire, or lightning. And this used to scale to an insane degree, but that's what they nerfed a bit. So now, anytime you cast it above 4th level, which is its base level spell slot, it gets an extra 1d8 of damage. Meaning that if you can cast this at 9th level, every one of your punches is going to deal an extra 7d8 worth of damage. And you have the ability to make at least 3 attacks per turn if you're using your bonus action for a smite. but you can also just as easily use your bonus action for another Bardic Inspiration usage, allowing you to then get 4 attacks in a single round. Each one of those dealing a solid amount of damage from your punching thanks to your Bardic College of Dance stuff, and then boosted up immensely with this particular spell. And then at 11th level of Bard, we can choose one more spell that I think does kind of fit, because usually when he's punching or doing any of his All Might from My Hero stuff, even when he's taking on other students from the UA Academy, a lot of times a blast of wind happens. So we're going to grab Investiture of Wind. It's a 6th level spell, so we had to wait till level 11 of Bard to grab it, but it makes it so all ranged weapon attacks are at disadvantage against you. You get a flying speed of 60 feet, and you can create a swirling 15-foot cube of swirling air damage that deals a bunch of bludgeoning damage, while at the same time knocking creatures away from this general swirling destruction. But since we have 2 very powerful concentration spells that we want to focus on now, at 12th level of Bard, you get another ability score improvement. So let's go ahead and take a feat, and we're going to grab Resilient. This allows us to boost up 1 ability score by 1 point. We're going to boost up our Constitution. This also gives us proficiency with Constitution saving throws, which means we now have proficiency with concentrating on spells. So if you're taking damage and you want to be boosting up that damage with that Conjure Minor Elementals, now you can do so much more effectively. 13th level of Bard gives us just a slightly higher level of spell slot. And then 14th level of Bard is really what it means to become a hero and protect people. Because thanks to being a dance bard, you get leading evasion. So whenever you have to make a dexterity saving throw to avoid taking damage from any sort of source, you can automatically take half damage. And if you succeed on the saving throw, you take 0 damage instead. But this feature specifically allows you to also save somebody that's nearby. So if a creature is within 5 feet of you, they get the same effect, allowing them to have half or 0 damage on the dex save. And this is exactly what it means to be a hero. I mean, with the College of Dance, the idea is that you're dancing with this person and they're your dance partner. In the aspect of being a hero for My Hero Academia, it's much more about protecting somebody, as if you're protecting them from falling rubble or something to that effect. Then at 15th level of Bard, you don't get anything special, but you do get the highest level of spellcasting. So now you can do a 9th level Conjure Minor Elementals, followed up with an 8th level Divine Smite, and you're just doing insane amounts of damage, and you can do your best impersonation of Chris Sabat, saying Detroit Smash, Texas Smash, or United States of Smash. But I just really love his voice acting because I've been a fan of his since I started watching DBZ all those years ago. There's a much more fleshed out spell list on the character sheet up on Patreon, but if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here helping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to pull off an insane United States of Smash and play as All Might from My Hero Academia in Dungeons & Dragons.